We are live. We're super live, going transatlantic, transoceanic, waking up from our slumber. The podcast is back. PAVELCAST episode number 35. Who knows? And I'm really happy and proud to have Jeremy Bakken on today, all the way out of Melbourne. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Pavel. It's great to be here.
Oh, absolutely. We actually have an audience for this episode. So, hopefully we can make them laugh. Yeah, dude. So you were in Melbourne just recently. What's Melbourne under lockdown like? Are they fully locked down right
now? Melbourne is no joke lockdown right now. Yeah, since the beginning of August, actually. Since we arrived in Australia, they've been under what they call stage 4 lockdown, which is a very meaningful number here to people, but stage 4 is not meaningful outside of Australia. But it's essentially everything's closed. There are grocery stores are open, liquor stores are open, of course, and coffee shops are open, but for takeaway only. Mm-hmm. And everything else is closed until just this week. The COVID numbers have gone down, and so the reason why there's a roadmap. If you follow, Melbourne or Victoria politics at all, or news, like you've heard about the roadmap. And the roadmap is, how do we get out of this lockdown? Yeah. And the roadmap just took its next step for Melbourne on Sunday, which was there's no longer a curfew. There's been a curfew in place since the beginning of August. Mm-hmm. You are now allowed to gather in public spaces with up to 5 people from a total of 2 households.
Used to be 0, nothing at all.
Used to be no. The only allowed activities were going to work if you worked in an essential industry that was open, like pretty much healthcare, some construction stuff, and some, like hospitality type food delivery and stuff like that. Otherwise, you're allowed 1 hour of exercise outside per day. And other than that, you're supposed to stay home. That was slowly, that was increased from 1 hour to 2 hours. And now it's increased from you can gather with people in an outside space and do things, not just exercise, hang out in the park and have a picnic and that sort of thing. But you're not allowed to go to visit other people's houses. You're not allowed to go to, there's no even outdoor seating at restaurants or anything like that. You have to stay within a 5-kilometer radius of where you live.
What's a kilometer? Just kidding.
It's
for our American friends, a kilometer is kind of like a mile, but less.
Yeah, right. For our American friends. So 5K is about 3.1 miles radius from your house. And there's some enforcement, they have some checkpoints on roads in and out of metropolitan areas. They have some, it's mostly by exception. So I read a news article this weekend about these guys who went out on a boat and got stuck and had to be rescued. And in the process of rescuing, they realized that by gathering together on this boat, they were in violation of their 5-kilometer radius.
Oh, wow.
And so they're getting fined. And the article that I read was the police were trying to decide if they get the $1,600 per person fine for violating the 5K rule, or the $5,000 per person fine for violating the illegal gatherings rule.
Ooh, give them both.
Yeah, so they're totally serious. There's mandatory mask policy that's been in place. So as soon as you step outside of your home, you have to wear a mask, and there's a $250 fine if you don't.
And so in your experience, people are really sticking to it? They're not gathering, they're wearing their masks?
They're wearing their masks. They have to, because there's a huge police presence. Especially during the early part when we got here, there were patrols of police just walking around. And of course, we're in the downtown area. So, maybe they're more present than they are in the more suburban areas. But Yeah, they're patrolling around. I mean, I think you hear stories of people violating the gathering rules, and like, you know, a party busted at an Airbnb with 10 people or something like that. But for the most part, I think people are taking it seriously. Like, they want to get out of this, and to get out of this means 14-day average new cases in the state of Victoria, where Melbourne is, needs to be at 5 or below 14-day average new cases.
5, so no more than average per day. No more
5
than
new cases
per day.
Yeah, I see you doing that math in your head, and you're like, I can't even believe that's possible.
We have like 200, between 200 and 400 every day.
Yeah,
in
I know.
And we're like doing well.
There were 12 yesterday in the state of Victoria, which is like 6.5 million people.
Yes.
247.
247 yesterday.
Yeah, my hometown, I think the average is over 100 per day, and that's a town of 60,000 people.
So they really wanted to be basically gone.
I think officially it's a suppression strategy, but it's really an elimination strategy. Like, they want the numbers to get down low enough where every case can be contact traced. Right. And aggressively, so any connections to those people can be isolated, so they stop the spread. You know, and that's, you know, it's interesting coming from, you know, the US, where there really is no strategy.
Not like
to
this.
Here, where it's so aggressive, but it's also working.
It's like influenced by all the Asian countries nearby. Like, so like, I don't know if Australia had a SARS scare. No, not really, right?
I mean, it's definitely influenced by the fact that the country or continent is an island, and it's very isolated. And, you know, like, similarly, we were talking about the animal quarantine that they have here. Like, they want to keep things out, because once they get in, they're in. But if you could keep them out, then, you know, if you can control people coming in and out, then you can get them, or you can stop it from spreading, kind of thing. Like, yeah, they're probably influenced by past experiences and pandemics in Southeast Asia and whatnot.
How challenging was it getting in? Because I know you had to go through like, what, 2-week quarantine?
Hugely, yeah, it was a challenge even before that. So we knew we were coming here for about a year before we came, and then COVID happened. Right. We actually came here in March for a visit, right at the beginning, like right when things started getting serious back home, and getting serious here, like 2 days before we left here to go back home after our trip in March. Australia closed its borders, and they've been closed since. So Australia is not allowing any international arrivals except for citizens coming home, mm-hmm. and people who get a special exception for compassionate reasons, essentially, because you're doing essential work, or, you know, visiting family who's, you know, on their deathbed or whatnot. So there was an extra process of getting approval in addition to getting our visa, which was challenging because Becky had to get a medical license in order to, get a medical license approved before the visa could be approved. And then once that was done, we had to get an exception to the travel ban. And then once we got that, we're allowed to come. We were ushered straight from our plane into the arms of we entered in New South Wales in Sydney. Yeah. Arms of the health department, the police, and the army and the border patrol were all in pretty big presence there. We walked from the plane through some health checks and through some document checks straight onto a bus where they took us to the hotel where we quarantined. We didn't know where we were staying until we got there. So it's kind of a roulette process for quarantine. Some of the places are really nice, like there are 5-star hotels that
Which
that
you guys
people
deserve.
quarantine in, and there are some that are not. There are some that have gotten a lot of bad press because of cleanliness issues and food issues and things like that. So we lucked out. I mean, I think we were kind of in the middle range.
Mhm.
It wasn't super nice, but it wasn't terrible. And yeah, 2-week quarantine. And, you know, quarantine is like, we're talking about, we were put into a hotel room. We weren't even given a key to the hotel room because we weren't allowed to leave the room.
Crazy.
You know, people would come by and deliver your food and knock on the door and then walk away, you know, like, so they didn't have to interact with you, and that, sort of thing. So yeah, that was pretty intense, being in the same room. You know, it was just a regular old hotel room too. Like,
How
it
did
was
you
like,
like? How was that for the relationship? Did you guys like have a lot of sex?
it was fine. That's not a question I'm going to answer on the podcast, Pavel.
I was told to
Um,
ask it, so I did it.
it was fine. It was, you know, I think we both were like, we're here and this is what we have. Like,
Right.
there's no other option. There's no other way. It's not in your control. You have
Right.
to sort of relinquish that idea that you have any sort of control over your life during that 14-day period. And we both brought stuff to do, because sitting around, like, there's only so much you can sit around and watch Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, that's about 2 days. And then after that, it's like, you need something else to do. So we both brought stuff to do. Becky worked on some research stuff. I did some data camp.
And also your blog, if anybody wants to read
Training classes and the
more in
blog.
depth,
Yeah.
jeremybakken.com, right?
Yeah,
jeremybakken.com.
you got it. You got it. That's what it is.
That's
I
good
haven't
stuff.
written. I need to do a blog. I have a couple planned. One for driving, because I drive on the left here. And one of Becky's coworkers loaned us an extra car that's a manual transmission.
Oh my God.
And so in addition to driving on the left, you're shifting with your left hand,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. And everything is opposite, you know, like, my biggest thing is when I'm in the car, after I've been driving for like a few minutes, I adjust, but immediately the first time I turn on the blinker, I always turn on the windshield wipers because they're on the other, you know,
yeah.
the blinker's on the right, windshield
That's so
wipers on the
weird.
left. So yeah, so I got a couple more blog posts I got to do. I've been sort of slacking on that,
we
but
love it and we want to see more for sure.
yeah.
Have you met any
Yeah.
Australians? Not really.
I have not met as many as Becky has because she's been working and I have not. I've had a lot of conversations with recruiters on the phone. I wouldn't consider that meeting people. Let's see. I'd say that, like, the person, I have gone to the chiropractor a couple times.
Oh, nice.
And she, other than Becky, is the person that I have spent the most time with, into like having gone to 2 chiropractor appointments. Is that a sad statement?
Wow, dude. All right. Whatever works.
That's a statement. That's a statement about Melbourne lockdown. I mean, but it's lockdown. Like, you're not like, there's no like going out for drinks or like going out for lunch to meet people. Like, I've met a couple of Becky's coworkers in passing.
Yeah.
I don't know what their faces look like because they had masks on. But
How long?
but yeah, so I haven't really met.
How long is Melbourne going to be in lockdown for? I mean, I know no one knows, but like, is this something you said the next step? Is this like months, weeks?
The next step, hopefully, which will be a big one, will happen sometime in October. So the premier, who is like the governor here, has been talking the last few days that based on the forecasting that they've been doing, that as long as everyone keeps behaving themselves, we should be to a place by the like 18th or 19th of October, where the next step can be taken. And the next step is like, I think, some loosening up of like outdoor seating at restaurants and stuff like that. I don't think things will be, I think they have a goal to have the economy fully opened by Christmas, to be allowing interstate travel by Christmas. Like, that's another thing. Like, there's there's no interstate travel. Like you're not allowed to cross state borders. Obviously, you can't leave your 5-kilometer distance from your home. You can't go across the state borders, but especially other states that don't have a lot of COVID cases, they don't want people from Melbourne going there because there's a huge outbreak here, which at its height was at like 250 cases a day.
That's nothing.
I know,
It's for
that's
the
why.
Americans.
Like at the same time, we've got like Florida and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's doing terribly.
It's just so
right
crazy how everybody, the
now.
whole world is different.
Yeah,
America
absolutely.
is just so fucking gallant about it.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we've been patient. Like that's all you can do is be patient, and this is what you have. There's nothing you can do to change it, but we're obviously hopeful that we can go and do things in Australia, and kind of enjoy Australia while we're here.
How'd you get into soap making?
Oh, wow. Transition.
Ba-boom! It's like a hard right turn.
Let's see. So I think one day I was just like, I could do this. Like, wouldn't you like to know what goes into stuff that you rub on your body every day?
Yes.
And so I was like, I bet you I could make soap, and I just tried. And then
you just found like recipes online or whatever?
Yeah, just recipes online. I started with a really, really basic one. It was not amazing, as most first people's soaps aren't totally amazing, or people's first soaps. But yeah, I found a recipe and I used it and it worked. And then there's a couple of online retailers and blogs and stuff like that I've found really helpful to try different strategies and try new things. And then like anything else you learn, you try different strategies, you try new things, and then all of a sudden you're trying things that you thought of. Sort of like cooking, right? You follow the instructions and then you just throw stuff together and it works. But yeah, I've had a history of skin issues like eczema and stuff like that also. So I was like, maybe if I make my own soap that doesn't have all of the preservatives and additives and stuff like that, it'll be better for my skin. And I really haven't bought soap in 5 years because I made some here actually.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I got some of your soap, iceagesoap.com. Check it out. Great soap.
Yeah,
I loved it. And plug.
Thanks for the plug.
That soap.
Thanks for the plug. But the store I'm not shipping from Australia. Like,
if people, listen, for everything there is a price. So
if somebody really, really wants soap, let me know. Email me.
I think
Jeremy at iceagesoap.com.
iceagesoap.com. Now, since the pandemic started, have sales picked up because people have to wash their hands more?
No. Not really, because like at a point, like sort of around December, January period, I started taking the website down in preparation for moving. Because we were like living in a place thought we were going to be moving in the end of May and packing up the house and stuff like that. Like so no, not really. I'm sure yes. Like if maybe it's just my fate because Facebook listens to what I talk about and I talk about soap, I guess. Yeah. But I've seen a huge number of new ads for new like small soap companies on Facebook. So I think, yes, people are probably washing their hands more, which is good.
I think of you as like someone that's really into like high quality or the best, like really trying to always like optimize and get the best things out there.
I mean, I think our soaps are the best.
First of all, your soaps are the best. But I mean, I think it extends beyond soap. Like consumables like food and drinks 100%, but also like gadgetry and all these things.
Yeah, I love gadgets. I love kitchen gadgets. I learned this from my wife. One of the many things that I have learned from my wife is you get what you pay for.
Yes.
And so like, if
you gotta pay for
there are certain things that if you right. Like you're gonna pay for that premium hosting because you want to be at Pavel.com to look really nice at datapavel.com.
So do you think that, so tell me more about that. Like, so how do you take that concept of you pay for what you get and apply it to your life? Do you think other people should as well?
Wow, we're getting into advice now. Yeah, like there are certain things, like what's an example? I mean, clothes is a good example. Like, you know,
A high quality t-shirt or something?
yeah, high quality t-shirt, high quality clothes. Like I have a strange body size because, you know, I'm tall and my arms are long. So like I t-shirts, like this t-shirt is a custom made t-shirt, which costs a little bit more, but like it's a great t-shirt that fits me well.
It's worth it.
You know,
You
it's
got
worth
a
it.
custom made t-shirt? Where you got
Yeah.
that? Where do you get that?
Sonofatailor.com, free plug for them.
Okay, I'm interested.
Great. You fill out this survey that gives you your size. They make one for you, and if it doesn't fit, like you can go back and forth with them and adjust the sizes until it fits.
Cool.
And then once you have your size, then you have your size, as long as you're not like getting a lot bigger or getting a lot, you know, slimmer and trimmer. So, you know, yeah, it's good. Yeah. What else? Gadgets.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite kitchen gadgets?
Like, I don't like to buy gadgets and pay money on it and then have it break and then have to go spend money to buy new ones. Let's see. Here, I bought 2 kitchen gadgets. Well, sort of 3.
2 kitchen gadgets, 3 while you were just in Australia for the past.
In Australia, yeah. Well, Australia uses different electricity here, so you can't bring things that plug in, really. So I bought a pressure cooker because that is my #1 most versatile go-to gadget. I use it at least twice a week.
Do you use it only in pressure cooker mode? Because like I have an Instapot and it has like slow cooker mode.
No,
I've never used this.
No, I made some Rogan Josh last week and I used it in slow cooker mode and it was incredible, which is like an Indian lamb dish.
Oh, I'm into that.
Lamb
Can you tell me a
curry,
little bit more about that? Is it just lamb and spices?
Lamb and like 500 spices. Yeah, it was great. And
what kind of cut?
I wanted to get a like a chop, not chop. What is it? Like a stew. What would be like stew meat cut?
Yeah.
You know, like a roast that you would cut up into smaller pieces. But the only place there's amazing markets here in Melbourne, like fish, meat, vegetables, spices. And so there's this big market that is within my 5K called Queen Victoria Market. And this one of the meat shops that I went to there, all they had was a leg. So I used leg, which was pretty good. I mean, it's a little fattier, but you know, lamb is a little fattier to begin with. But you just gotta render that stuff, you know, and cook it real slow. So yeah, I got spices at this little spice shop in the market and mix them all together, set it on slow cook, and bam. It was good. Tomatoes, so the sauce was a bunch of spices, tomatoes, onions, and broth. Like super simple. The most complicated thing was that there was like 9 spices in it because Indian food uses a lot of spices.
Interesting.
But other than that,
you sell Rogan Josh mix already. Like I can just buy Rogan Josh spice mix.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you can. It's just like turmeric and cumin and coriander, and you know, you can make it yourself too. That's another thing. Is I like to make things for myself sometimes.
Yeah, you go from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, so Instapot.
And I have time to do it right now. Instapot, thank you for bringing us back, Pavel. The other thing was a juicer.
Ooh, okay. What you juice?
So I've been juicing, and that was you get what you pay for. Like I got the Breville masticating slow juicer, which is a little more expensive, but also like gets the most juice out. And you can juice the most things. Yeah. Like you can juice leafy greens, you can juice garlic. I made this
garlic
sort of V8. Yeah, I made this sort of V8 juice with like V8 normally is not juiced. It's not like cold pressed juice. It's cooked and then strained.
Okay.
But I made the juice and then cooked it. The juice, so it was like very pure, clean juice. It was less thick than V8 is. But yeah, but I juiced tomatoes, carrots, onions, coriander, garlic.
Damn.
I forget what. Lemon, and then there's something else in there. Celery.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just bought like a kilo and a half of. I'm in the metric system now.
I love the metric system. Keep on going, bro.
Of lemons.
Wow.
And I'm gonna make some lemon juice either later today or maybe tomorrow.
What are you gonna do with all that lemon juice?
Drink it, like lemonade. Lemonade.
You're gonna add sugar to it?
You know, so like lemon, yeah, like lemon, and then you mix it with simple syrup, essentially, like sugar water.
Maybe a little whiskey.
I mean, you could throw a little whiskey on there. You could throw it on a little sangria if you wanted to. Be so bold.
Well, so your favorite kitchen gadget of all time? People that don't have it, do you think Instapot or what?
Pressure cooker. Pressure cooker. I have a Breville, not an Instapot. I'm partial to my Breville just because that's the first one that I got.
Better than Breville is the best good brand, right?
It's the only one I've had, so I don't want to diss Instapots because I have never used one. But I do love my Breville, and that's we bought the same one that we have at home here. So then we'll just use it and then either sell it or give it to somebody when we leave here because the plugs are 220 volts, so you can't use them back home. They don't convert.
Interesting.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, those are the big kitchen gadgets. Well, and then the third one is a Chemex.
A what?
Coffee. A Chemex.
Oh.
A drip coffee container. It's like you've seen them.
Yeah, maybe you can show us. Yeah, sure. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're missing out.
Jump over to YouTube here.
Jump over to YouTube right now. Ooh, look at that.
It's that. So you filter in here and you just pour over and it filters. It's nice.
Yeah, that sounds
What I like about it is that you can stick this on your gas burner, on your stove. If you, like when I'm at home by myself, which I am right now, and I make a whole thing of coffee, I want it to stay hot. So, you stick it on the stove and keep it warm. Just, really, really low. You don't want it to boil because then it'll burn. But
so you put coffee on top and then you just pour some water in slowly?
Yeah, you just pour over it. I do 3 pours. I do 1, just a little bit of water that blossoms the coffee. Like the coffee actually bubbles, which is incredible. And then I do 2, like I pour 2 like up to the rim or close to the rim and then let it drip and then do another one and then let it drip. And it's a pretty great cup of coffee. Like the apartment that we're staying in has a French press.
Yeah.
And I used to use a French press all the time. And then after a couple days here using the French press, I'm like, oh, now I remember why I stopped using the French press. It's just really messy. It's hard to clean. Like we don't have a garbage disposal, so rinsing it out is really messy. And the Chemex uses a filter, so you just pull it out. It's easy, convenient, clean. Yeah. So those are my kitchen gadgets.
I love it. What do you think Australians think about America? Do they think like we're like done for? Roman empires, or you might not be able. I think you can only tell from reading and watching TV, not from any interaction, obviously. But
well, I can tell from what Becky tells me about her conversations with her coworkers, and the one thing that I have noticed is that they're really obsessed with American politics right now.
Oh, they are. They love the reality.
And obsessed as in it's amusing to them. It's like watching a clown show,
Yeah.
And we're just like, this is not funny.
We live there and it sucks. Yeah.
What is happening? So yeah, that's it. I think there is, like with some Australians at least, I think there's because I also am on a couple of Australian subreddits.
Yeah, gotta get on.
And so you get kind of an attitude of at least a certain segment of the population from that, even if it is a little trolly sometimes. But I think sometimes like people get tired of hearing about America and American things, you know, like America is not the center of the world to them, but it's hard to get away from the impact.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's I don't know how common that attitude is. I just see that sometimes, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully soon I'll get a job, and then I will have more people to talk to. Yeah.
That's why that's why you're trying to get a job.
That's why I want to get a job, so I can talk to the locals, right? That's, what other reason would there be? I mean, cash, but
today's the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joseph Biden, and I'm just I'm curious what it's going to be like. It's going to be interesting. Crazy stuff. So register to vote, everybody. That's our plug here. Don't forget to register to vote. Oh, you got something crazy going on with your voting stuff because you had to print out your ballot and you're gonna.
I'm voting today. I have our ballots. Yeah, we overseas voting is they email you the ballot,
just crazy,
and then you print it out. And you have to have you have your ballot document. It's sort of like absentee voting, except for you print it out. You know, you fill out your ballot, then you have your validation page where someone has to witness your ballot, and then you put it in an envelope and mail it. So that's what I'm doing after this podcast this afternoon, is going to find an envelope to put the stuff in, because we don't have any envelopes here.
You last mission.
And and then I'm going to mail the ballots home with the we'll go back to get what you pay for. I am going to pay for the fastest premium service that I can get, because I want to make sure that our ballots are counted.
Good.
Australian Post, like the US Postal Service, is struggling right now. And lots of shipping delays and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll make sure it gets there.
Do they use kangaroos to move the mail around, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's Kangaroo Post. They just put the packages in the little basket or in the little pocket.
Yeah, that's what I imagine, right? And they tell the guy to go there, the guy goes there.
Yeah.
The koalas.
No,
everything.
That's actually one of the things that we we're just kind of joking about the other day, that I don't believe all of this rumor of kangaroos and koalas and these animals in Australia, because I have not seen any of them.
Oh wow!
Because we're not we're not allowed to go outside of our 5K area, and we would have to do that in order to go to places where there are them. Yeah. Becky's work people are like, oh, you just have to drive out to the suburbs, at the edge of the city, and they're hopping around all over the place, blah, blah, blah. But we can't.
You will soon.
So yeah. Mostly I thought for a while that the Aussie Post guy who delivers to my building probably thought we were up to something, because we were getting packages every day when we first moved here, because you can't go to you can't go to the store to pick up things like linens or stuff like that right now.
So that's interesting. That makes a lot of sense. You are a healthcare data guy with also a psychology degree.
It's true.
It's true. And
a couple of them.
You have several psychology degrees?
Well, levels, yeah.
You got a master's in what?
I have a master's and a PhD in educational psychology and a bachelor's degree in psychology.
What's educational psychology means?
It's the department that I was in the Department of Education, or in the School of Education. So within the department, there was a lot of focus on the psychology of school-age people, whether it be cognitive development or school psychology or what I studied was human development, which in my program, the study of human development is a lifespan study. So, you know, from birth through death kind of thing.
What was your
But
thesis
my focus was on adolescent peer relationships and parent-child relationships. So,
do you think fucks us up? Like I've been thinking a lot about my parents, and like, yeah, no, I can't blame them, but I'm like, I keep telling them like, you guys programmed me to do this, and you guys programmed me to do that, and like, I mean, I probably shouldn't say that, but like, is there truth to that? Like, how much
that your parents messed you up? Yeah, probably.
Fair enough, right? Don't worry, they're not listening.
Yeah, no, I studied more like how parents and children communicate about friendships. So, like, what parents want to know about what's going on with their kids and their kids' friends. And from the kids' perspective, like, what do kids want their parents to know, and what do they not want them to know? Which is interesting in the age of social media, when, you know, arguably it's a lot easier for kids to hide things from their parents if they want to, than it was when, like, you had one phone in the house, and if the kid was on the phone, the parent could pick up the phone and listen into the conversation in the other room, kind of thing, you know? So yeah, influence of social media.
What did you
peer
find
influence,
out?
peer groups. Gosh, you're trying to get me to recall something that I worked on
A long time ago. We don't have to.
Yeah, I was really interested in culture and how cultural background and different family experiences impact the way that people communicate with each other, the way that parents and kids communicate with each other. And so that was kind of my focus, was like understanding in a kind of a cultural context how communication patterns can vary, and what parents want to know, what parents think they're entitled to, and that sort of thing. And I would be hard
Varies
pressed
by
to
culture, like
cite specific results of my studies, but yeah.
Immigrant culture, or like what? How do you define the groups?
Yeah, immigrant culture. So my dissertation study was the participants were African American families and Hmong families. And Hmong families are an immigrant, but really a refugee group in the United States. And so
there's a lot in Wisconsin, huh?
Yeah, a lot in Wisconsin and Minnesota. But, you know, yeah, certainly the experience of being an immigrant and coming into a different culture, or being a refugee and, you know, being forced to leave one home and coming to another one where you maybe didn't choose to be, can have an impact on how protective parents are, how much information they want to know, how much they feel entitled to know, and that sort of thing.
Interesting. I'm an immigrant, a refugee, in fact. I don't know if you knew that. We were more economic refugees than anything, but on paper we were religious refugees. Russian.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Russian Jews didn't get a fair shake in Russia, Soviet Union. So basically, thanks to the Jackson-Vanik Amendment, two Jewish senators, they basically put pressure on the Soviet Union to allow immigration and to categorize these Russian speakers who were leaving Russia, who were Jewish, to be let into the country. Shout out Jackson Amendment. Okay, that's cool. Now, I was gonna ask you about, like, did you watch the social media documentary on Netflix? Are you aware of that one, The Social Dilemma?
So I have not. I am aware of it, but no, I have not watched it.
As a data guy, you know, all of this stuff, my phone, all there's data being sucked into every little thing, and it for sure, I think it's at its highest, like, efficiency, and at, like, the social media stuff being able to, like, sell us things. Me and you were both working in healthcare. It has not translated into healthcare. This ability to suck all the data in about a person, and suggest that, here's your beer, wine, crochet, whatever you're into.
Right.
Definitely hasn't really happened in healthcare. Like, what do you see happening? I'm curious if you think, like, what do you think about all this stuff about, like, our world today, social media, and how the data is being gathered, and how it's like how this machine is basically manipulating us? Like, they want our attention. The takeaway is these companies make money because they have our attention, and the algorithms are optimized to grab as much attention as possible, and that's going to continue to happen. I'm curious, like, how come none of that stuff is really being ported into healthcare? And if it did, and if we are able to port it into healthcare, can we do it in a way that makes healthcare better? I don't know if you have, I mean, this is some weird shit I'm talking about here, but.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's an interesting question, though. Like, the first thing that comes to my mind is, well, two things. One, healthcare is much more concerned about an individual person's privacy than social media companies are. I mean, social media companies are in the business of making people's private things public. And healthcare is in the business of protecting people's privacy. So I think there's an inconsistent goal between the two there. But the other question that comes to mind is what would that data, how would that data set of like social media interactivities and that sort of thing, like how would that actually help provide better healthcare? Because if there's an answer to that question, then I think people would be motivated to do it. But I don't know what, I could think of some examples of how it could be, maybe like being able to like look at trends of particular health issues and relate them to like eating habits and things like that you could see, you could glean a little bit of information from people's social media. But that also seems really like invasive.
Yeah.
From the perspective of a healthcare provider. Like, I think people are, at least in the United States, people are used to healthcare organizations only having access to information that I give them.
But even that, like, even if, let's see, so you're saying they can't even get information to access to everything. But like, I just feel like, man, like, there's all this talk about being a data-driven healthcare system, being data-driven in healthcare, but like, it's not happening. It's not happening on a meaningful scale. I mean, it's a lot of the time it's just random people asking for random data and maybe doing something with it, but it's not like the sophistication of the algorithms, even within the healthcare data that they have, even inside like the EHR data and the claims data that most people have access to, like, all my lab values, all my diagnosis, all the doctor's notes. There's a lot of interesting information there that the system has access to. And I'm not sure, beyond simple reporting, to say, your glucose is high, you're diabetic, or you're diabetic but you haven't gotten your A1C test done regularly. I don't know. I just don't see, somehow I'm not seeing the smart machine learning something to then say, hey, Pavel, with what we know about him today, we want him to, go to the doctor, do more exercise. Somehow, basically what I want is the mission of the healthcare algorithms and the healthcare systems should be to keep me healthy. And I guess that is basically at odds with the healthcare economics of today, because the healthcare economics of today, fee for service, hospitals and doctors get paid to treat me when I'm sick. This goes back to a podcast we did with Dr. Casey, who's all about metabolic health, but there's some perverse kind of incentives in the system. And I guess the system is optimized for those incentives versus to keep me healthy. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know if you were watching, and those of your listeners who aren't on YouTube didn't see my this little.
You did a little something with hands.
This is the reason why, money. I think you just hit on it, but I wonder if the problem is actually the opposite of what you were just describing, which is that it's in healthcare organizations' interests to focus on money rather than on patient outcomes. I don't think that's really true, but I do think it's true the opposite, that the companies that successfully use and aggregate social media data and other like device data and that sort of thing, their singular goal is money.
I see.
You know, whereas in healthcare, those types of things, those types of modeling, it's expensive. You know, it's expensive to build the data pipelines, to ingest all this data from these different types of sources, to hire the data scientists who have PhDs and, you know, top dollar billing rates and that sort of thing to generate these models. It takes a long time to train them and to figure out what output you're looking for and that sort of thing. Whereas, you know, that's a long-term expensive investment for a health system, which is probably why like the ones who are doing it the most and the best are like the really big health systems, you know. But yeah, I think it's an interesting question. But I do think ultimately the goal of the health system is to provide better care and better outcomes. But in order to do that, they have to make money. They're a business, you know, and maybe those two things butt heads every once in a while. Figure that one out, Pavel.
Yeah, that's like above my pay grade.
The marriage of good care, the best care possible, while also thriving as a business and making money to be able to invest in better healthcare. That's the golden ticket right there.
I like gold. The podcast has 2 recurring segments. One segment is called Hot Tips. It's time for Hot Tips. Hot Tips. Which is like, I know you've given us a lot of good advice already, but like Hot Tips is a way to give any kind of hot tip to the universe. It can be a book, it can be a meal, it can be a whiskey, it can be life advice, it can be like wake up in the morning and smile, or make your coffee with a pour over. Ideally something you haven't mentioned yet. Any hot tips you want to bestow upon us?
Oh my gosh, Pavel, I was totally unprepared for this.
Well, so it doesn't make sense.
Hot tips. Let's see. What's the other segment? Can I think on it and come back to it?
The other segment is also challenging, but it's actually, let me see if I have any. Yeah, I have one more special thing in there. We're good to go. It's teleportation transformation, sponsored by Elon Musk. So basically, Elon's been working on this experimental teleportation device, and he lets me borrow it for the podcast to use it. And using your memories, we're able to transport and teleport momentarily into a different place, a whole place that exists in the world. And we're able to just kind of check it out and see. It's almost like going on a real quick vacation somewhere. So if you tell me somewhere to go, we can teleport there. That's the other segment.
Oh, okay. Well, Melbourne, Australia, dude. Come on over. I'll meet you in the park with our masks on.
Let's go somewhere. We just discussed Melbourne really a lot. Let's go somewhere else.
Where else?
You've been to
New Zealand. Or somewhere that I've been.
Yeah, because we're gonna actually it hooks into your memories, so it has to be somewhere you've been.
Okay.
Now you get it.
How about Johannesburg, Joburg?
All right, let's go. J-Berg. Oh wow, this is interesting. It's warmer than I imagined it would be. What am I seeing over here?
What are you seeing? Let's see. City. Actually, from the tallest buildings in Joburg, you can see the excavation of the diamond mines.
Oh wow!
just outside the city, like the big barren crater that has been created by the diamond mining process. You can probably see private security on the streets because the police don't patrol the streets. It's in the downtown area. It's all private security. You can see some beautiful like foliage and gardens right now. I think it should be spring there now as well, right? Southern Hemisphere.
Beautiful.
A short drive away through the countryside and the mountains, you can go to this place that was a lot of fun called Shushlui.
Oh, what's that?
But it's like HLU, Shushlui, if you're Googling it. It's a safari resort. Like you go and stay in grass thatch roofed little cabins.
Cool.
And go in the little Jeep with the guys to see warthogs and lions and hippopotamuses and all kinds of elephants, zebras, lots of zebras.
Zebras.
Yeah.
In Russian, it's zebra.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a long time ago that I went there. I don't know why.
You go there for work? Were you there for work or vacation?
I went there for work. Yeah, when I worked at
the mothership. You can say
the mothership. When I worked at Epic, is it? It's not gonna be.
They're not gonna listen.
Yeah, I worked with at the time the one international client that was a health plan based in Joburg.
How did you flew to Chicago, then Chicago to Johannesburg direct?
It varied. The only time I flew direct was through I think maybe Atlanta. And then we flew direct, but it wasn't direct because a direct flight is so long that you have to stop the plane on an island in the Atlantic and refuel. And then go. Otherwise, normally we would fly through Amsterdam and then fly, so you fly over and then down.
I see.
And that would probably be through JFK or something. I don't know.
Damn, that's a long ass flight.
Yeah, it's like a 30-hour trip. It's a long trip to get here too, unless you're in the Elon Musk teleportation machine. And
yeah, well, this is still very much on the hush hush. All right, we're gonna. All right, we're back. That was fun.
All right.
Hot tip.
So yeah, my hot tip, life advice. Since Pavel always asks me for life advice.
Fuck man, what am I doing?
My hot tip. You can Google this, look this up. Essene Book of Days, Fear of Transformation. You can read it. I'm not going to read it to you. I'm not going to like recite anything for you, but essentially this idea that you in life grow the most by trying things that make you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So my challenge for you this week is try something that makes yourself uncomfortable.
And what is the book name again? It's a great advice.
Essene Book of Days, Essene Book of Days. It's like a metaphysical sort of hippie spiritual.
Seeds are like some old religion or like sect.
Yeah,
Jews actually. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. It was this reading from it was something that was given to me a long time ago that I think about on occasions, like when you move across the world to a city that's locked down and you're
yeah, that's hard, huh?
And that sort of thing. But that's when you grow the most.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I do a lot of that stuff, but always I have noticed that it is. Yeah, you're right. Basically, you grow through that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's painful though. I don't want to like go through pain, but
right. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the point.
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Unless it kills you.
Unless it kills you, then it's fine. What questions do you have for me?
Unless it's COVID.
Fucking COVID.
What do I have for you? What's coming up for you guys here? What's the next trip?
Data Pavel and Kathleen Rorsticka's club.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Food and data seminars. A retreat. Yeah.
Yeah. We just did a retreat in Crestline, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm talking about the future though, not the past.
We're going to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii in December.
Oh yeah, that's still on.
Not only is it on, but we just extended it by a bunch more days.
We doubled it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You know, Hawaii is like just partway to Australia.
Man, my plan was to visit you, and I think I will, but if it's possible,
I don't mean to be pessimistic, but I don't think they're gonna let you. They're talking about opening up international travel from safe countries, and I don't think the U.S. is going to be on that list.
I don't think we'll be able.
But who knows? You know, there's a long, we're here for about 8 more months, so you know, a lot can happen in that time.
5, everybody get a little Putin vaccine, and good to go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, here they're getting the Oxford vaccine here though, so.
Yeah, they're UK aligned. I think Moderna might be the ticket.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Did you read about the sharks?
What about the sharks? What sharks?
I don't know. I didn't read the article. I just saw an article about how millions of sharks are going to have to die in order to give us a vaccine.
What?
I don't know why. Yeah.
I don't know why either. Millions of sharks?
Maybe I should look at it. Yeah. I
didn't know there was that many.
I was just browsing my news headlines and came across that.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Happy debate. I don't think I can watch it.
You're not gonna stomach it? No, don't worry. You can read the highlights.
I'll read the highlights. I'm gonna skip the debate and go vote.
Yeah.
Instead. Yeah.
So nothing that they're gonna say on the debate tonight would sway you?
No.
You're 99% of everyone else in this world.
No.
That's the big problem, though, is that goes for both sides of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
And,
I think there's very few people out there that are going to be swayed by anything.
I'm apolitical, but I think Trump is an asshole, and I'm tired of his presidency.
Yeah.
So I guess there's my declaration there.
There you go. You got to still vote, though. You can't just
I'm registered. I did my census. Yes, she did it.
I wouldn't be sitting here if he wasn't going to vote.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Put me on blast here.
Yeah, for sure. Wildfires. I know this is just really
it's been okay.
Topic to drop in the last. Yeah. Okay.
But San Francisco has been miserable, and the Bay Area really bad. LA had a pretty bad, but now I guess it's better their quality. And San Diego really, I think, had a couple of days of bad. But I think the worst we had was when there was this like Navy ship on fire, and so if you were anywhere next to it, it was really like crazy plasticky smell.
Oh my God! I forgot about that.
Yeah, but it's been okay. It's still dangerous. I mean, it could happen anytime. Those fires spread. It's scary, but I think it's the planet telling us to like fuck off a little bit. Like we're not nice to it. It's not going to be nice to us.
Maybe. Yeah, my parents said that they had smoke, like
that's crazy.
Smoke in the air in Wisconsin. Yeah, that's probably more from Oregon and Washington than from California, but still
though, that's far away.
Connected. Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for coming on the show. We loved having you, dear friend, dear colleague. Can't wait to get you on the Data Powell wing. We're about to change the world. Thanks for the show.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.